Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Hammer Territory podcast. It is somewhat of an emergency show, and as we have said for a while now, we don't like doing emergency shows before like the trade deadline time because it is usually not good. If folks have not heard the news, it is not good. Chris Sale has a fractured left rib cage, and it's going to be a while, it seems like, before Chris Sale is back with the Atlanta Braves. I am joined today by Stephen Tolbert. And Stephen, let's just jump right in here. Immediate short-term impact for the Atlanta Braves. We are recording this just for housekeeping notes about 2:30 Eastern time on Saturday, so maybe we'll get some more information. But on the surface, this does not look good at all for the Braves.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? Chris Sale's been the best player on the team since the day he got here, basically. A lot of it was because Ronald was out, and I understand since Ronald's been back, he's probably got a case for it. But on the whole, Chris Sale's been the best player on the team since the day he got here, and that's what they just lost. The starting pitching has been the most consistent part of this team by far. The offense and the bullpen have been kind of the reasons for the bad play at times. The starters have been unbelievable, and Chris Sale has been, the number one reason for that. And they just lost their ace. And I understand Strider has looked better. Schwellenbach has looked really good. They probably still have two really good pitchers at the front of this rotation, but Chris Sale had there was a decent shot he was going to win a Cy Young for the second year in a row. That's how good he's been. And now he's out for, it's still too early. We're recording this about an hour after the news drop, so we don't know exactly how long he's been out. He'll be out, but the preliminary stuff is not good. It could be 1-2 months. It could be, August before we see him again. So yeah, this is devastating news.
It is indeed. And we shall see what, if anything, Brian Snitker says this weekend. Honestly, rib cages and injuries to rib cages can be pretty tricky. And not only do you have to recover, but there's a pain tolerance that comes with it too. I wanted to just mention while we're talking timelines. So it's a few years old now, but the National Library of Medicine did a study on major league and minor league players who have suffered fractured rib cage injuries. And on average, players miss about 48 days. But the study did show that pitchers tend to be on the longer end of that. So, of course, every case is unique. We'll see what happens with Sale. Again, we'll couch it. We are waiting for a little more information. But even if it's average for Sale, who is not a young man at this point in his mid-30s, we're talking at bare minimum 6-7 weeks, and it could be as long as 2 months, quite honestly.
Yeah, and I did see DOB did confirm that it happened on the play in the ninth inning where he dove for the ball. I think it was Juan Soto. He dove for that ball, threw him out at first. That's just another kick to the nuts because it was the ninth inning of a 5-0 game. And, he's such a psychopath competitor. Like if he can get to a ball, that's what he's going to do. He's going to literally dive off the mound to get to it. You would love to be like, Chris, it's 5-0, buddy. We need you. But you can't tell somebody that competitive not to do that. And it's just kind of a freak thing. And unfortunately for Chris, a lot of his injuries throughout his career have been these type of injuries where it's just like some random freak accident. It's not been a lot of like consistent arm or elbow or shoulder. It's always these freak things that catch him. And last year it was the back that popped up literally right before the playoffs. This year it's, he dove off the mound and broke a rib. So yeah. And that timeline, listen, if it's 50 days, that's, there's a good chance the Brave season might be over by the time he gets back. So it's not a guaranteed thing. We're not ready to just, call it now, but this is a massive blow.
Yeah, it really is. And let's just kind of now take stock of the Braves rotation, which is, of course, already without Ronaldo Lopez and already without AJ Smith-Shawver. Now you lose Sale for some period of time. So now it's Spencer Schwellenbach, Spencer Strider, Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, and presumably Didier Fuentes. I think, maybe you feel differently, Stephen, but I think what seemed like it was going to maybe be a one-game audition, at least on the outside, or just a one game to kind of give everybody in the rotation a breather, it seems like Didier Fuentes is probably now your fifth starter, unless they want to roll with like Austin Cox and some bullpen games or something. We'll see. But I mean, that regardless of Didier being in there, a top four of Schwellenbach, Strider, Holmes, and Elder. Oh boy. I mean, for a team that is already trying to climb out of this hole, this very deep hole, that is pretty scary if we're being blunt.
Well, and I think it does answer the kind of the mystery of why they called up Fuentes. It was kind of a weird thing to do when somebody literally just got to AAA, somebody that young. It seemed like it was just going to be one start, which typically you don't call up one of your best prospects for one start. You usually call up a journeyman guy or do some sort of, modified bullpen game or something like that. And I think we know now that the Braves had an inkling. Obviously Chris did that on, what was that, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
So they would have known by Friday that at least something was up. So I think we have the answer to the mystery of why Fuentes was called up to begin with. Like you just said, he wasn't immediately sent back down after the game, which is also a bit unusual. I guess, we probably could have connected the dots a little bit that somebody was hurt, but nobody saw Chris Sale broken rib out for maybe 2 months coming. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be the 5. And my guess is Alex is already looking at, trades, other teams, starters, but it's still kind of early for that, quite honestly. Trades don't typically happen till the second half of July, and we're still, second half of June. So those are the 5 for right now. And I really hope these improvements Spencer Strider has made over the last couple of starts, I really hope those stick, because my God, do they need like old school Spencer Strider now more than ever.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, even Grant Holmes, I mean, a player who we thought was going to be maybe the 5th starter this year and then might transition to a bullpen role at some point if everything went well. Well, obviously not everything went well. And then you lose Lopez and Smith-Shawver. I mean, it is shocking in Major League Baseball how you can feel good about your starting pitching depth maybe coming into a season or even a couple of weeks or months into a year, and then you blink and all of a sudden you're tapping into a kid who was a teenager up until 4 days ago to presumably make starts every 5th day. Bryce Elder, even though he has been better, is realistically more of a 6th or 7th starter in an organization. Holmes has been fine, but you said Strider and Schwellenbach. I mean, those two have to just be awesome moving forward if this team has any chance of just kind of bridging the gap to staying competitive this summer.
And don't be surprised if Alex goes out and at least gets like a, somewhat of a journeyman starter type. Like, I really don't know how much you can depend on a 19. I mean, literally, Fuentes just turned 20 like a week ago. I don't know how much you can actually depend on this kid to come up and just perform at this level. I mean, that's incredibly unfair to ask. I would not be surprised at all if, like, tomorrow or even today, Alex trades for at least a body. Maybe somebody who's having a rough year that they're kind of, is cheap and they're hoping for a bounce back or something. Just another body. Because I'm not a prospect guy. I don't think there's anybody else in AAA that's even like decent. So I would not, a trade of some sort would not shock me.
Well, and it's interesting now. I think about that interview that Alex Anthopoulos did with local radio 4 or 5 days ago. And one, he defiantly said the team was not going to sell players with control. Now, maybe this Sale injury will have a little bit of an impact on that. And he did kind of leave the door open, as we talked about on the show, that if you are a player on an expiring contract and the Braves are just out of it, maybe there's something. But it was interesting that Alex said on the radio that day that he was almost wanting to make a trade just to prove to people that the team was not going to sell. So maybe he has been working and has some players on his, office whiteboard of players who could be available. The Braves also did recoup a little bit of unexpected money with Jurickson Profar getting suspended and half of his salary going away. So I don't know. I mean, I think you're spot on that it would not shock me at some point in the near future. It is not going to be anyone good. I would guess it's probably going to be kind of like Rafael Montero, who is a body who is probably better than what you have in Gwinnett right now, but could at least make a start free every 5th day and not just like wave the white flag. Because I do agree, even though Didier Fuentes has a bright future, asking him to go out there every 5th day against teams far better than the Marlins feels, I mean, you're asking the world of that kid.
Yeah. And like it literally might be somebody like Charlie Morton, who's been terrible with Baltimore, and the Baltimore's, done. So they would give him away in a heartbeat. I'm not saying it's going to be, but like, would that surprise you at all if the Braves announced tomorrow they traded for Charlie Morton? It wouldn't shock me, but it's going to be somebody probably on that level. So I would set expectations wisely for that. But yeah, and the thing that sucks for Alex is he was already having to look at bullpen and probably some sort of offensive help. I mean, as inconsistent as the offense has been, he was probably looking. I know Profar is coming back, and Profar has looked incredible in AAA in his couple of rehab starts. But for a fact he was definitely looking for bullpen help. He was probably looking for offensive help, and now he's got to look for starting help. At some point, it's too many holes to plug. So I'm very curious to see how they react to this.
So this is going to be a shorter show from our usual standard, but I guess just final thoughts, Stephen. I mean, obviously, short term, this is crushing for the Braves. There is no sugarcoating this. Sale is probably a top 3 pitcher in the game right now, and has been since the start of 2024. I don't want to say that the season is officially done today, because there is ways to kind of bridge the gap. But dear God, for a team that had finally started playing better, coming off the sweep of the Mets, I know they had the letdown on Friday night, but whatever, those are going to happen. You beat the Brewers 2 out of 3. You take the series against the Rockies. It felt like the vibe was finally progressing. The teams ahead of them in the National League wild card have also cooled considerably. The Padres are struggling. The Cardinals have calmed down a bit. Like, it wasn't if they were 15 games back and the season was like mathematically over. But man alive, I mean, losing Sale for, we'll say, 1 to 2 months seems to be the estimation. It really, really puts this team in a tough place.
Yeah. And listen, this doesn't matter, but it is worth pointing out. Sale was also like their lock all-star pick. And now he's not going to be an all-star. So like, and you have to have one representative. So like Acuna might just be on the team now, just even though he deserves to be on the team with the way he's played. It just might be a lock now because you have to have one. But yes, so Sale's not going to be on the all-star team, which sucks. He was a lock for that. I think he was probably one of the front runners for Cy Young. He's going to, this is going to cost him that. You can't miss this much time and win an award like that. And yeah, for the team, like, I'm very like when Acuna tore his ACL in 21 and the team was, struggling, he immediately traded for Jock Peterson like the next day. And he said he did that intentionally to make sure people know, like, we're not done, we're not giving up. And like you were just talking about earlier, he had already mentioned kind of having that mindset. So like, I'm very curious how the front office reacts in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, if they go hyper aggressive to try to bring some life back in that clubhouse. That clubhouse has to be just devastated. Like, not only is Chris one of the best players on the team, like he's like a beloved teammate. Like, everybody speaks so incredibly highly of Chris. He's one of like the most important veterans on the team. Like, it's just a massive blow all the way around your organization. And so I'm very curious to see how Alex responds, how the front office responds. If they do like a Jock Peterson type thing where they immediately go and try to get somebody to ease the blow. I don't know, but this sucks. I mean, a season that has already sucked, this sucks. And I said it the other day, I tune in, when the Braves were playing badly, I said I tune in for 2 reasons: to watch Chris Sale and to watch Ronald Acuna Jr. And damn, we don't even have Chris Sale to watch anymore. I mean, it's just been, of course, that's what happens.
Yeah.
We lose Chris Sale.
Yes, when it rains, it pours. And goodness, yeah, not the news. I mean, this was, I think we had said on the show in the past, and this is a little Captain Obvious, but if there was one thing this baseball team could not afford, it was to lose one of their top starting pitchers. Like, the offense has problems, but at least you can kind of cover that up, and it's easier to trade for an outfielder than it is to trade for a starting pitcher of any kind of impact. Because guess what? Especially with the expanded playoffs, 70% of the league thinks they have a chance at the postseason, and 5 of the obvious sellers, I mean, the Rockies don't exactly have a lot of starting pitchers they could trade that are going to help, or the White Sox or the Marlins, right? Like, this is, in general, it's tough to add starting pitching.
It's the most expensive thing to buy at the
Yeah.
deadline is impact starting pitching. Never mind a Cy Young caliber pitcher. That's not even
Right.
possible with the Braves farm system. Just any sort of impact pitching is far and away the most expensive thing to buy at the deadline.
And frankly, there's probably a conversation happening in the Braves front office. How much do you put into this season now?
100%.
If you can get a starter with control, then sure. Like someone who's going to make an impact in 26, maybe 27, beyond. Of course. I mean, then you're thinking about more than just this season. But if I had to guess, I mean, I kind of think your Charlie Morton idea is spot on because it would only cost money. It's not going to give prospects. It's kind of similar to what they did last trade deadline when they traded for Soler. It was purely a money thing. They didn't really give up any kind of prospect, and that probably made sense given all the injuries. Why give up one of the few prospects who have a real potential and ceiling if you are already kind of drawing dead in a season with injuries and an uphill climb?
Yeah. And then, that's 100% fair. Like they might look at this and be like, listen, guys, it's just not our year. Alex will never say that publicly until after the trade deadline when they've traded Marcell Ozuna and they can't avoid it anymore. But like, he's not going to say that. But if you see the team not really do much, that's kind of an indication that they might be like, listen, there's too much to fill in here. We don't have enough prospects to go around, make all these trades. It was different in 21 because outfielders, like you just said, are so cheap. You can just rebuild your outfield on the cheap and really not give up anybody that you've ever heard of from your farm system. It's different when you got also bullpen troubles and rotation troubles. Like it's very possible. You're 100% right. It's very possible they look at this thing and just like, it's not our year.
Yeah. So it is the third weekend in June. I guess there is maybe a month before the Braves have to make some final decisions. As we have outlined on this podcast, they are in the middle of a very, very important stretch this week and next. So far, Chris Sale injury aside, it's gone well. If you would have told us on Sunday night after that Rocky series that they were going to go 3-1 against the Mets and the Marlins, I think you take it, right? I mean, it was so. We will see. Stephen, we're going to get out of here on a brief emergency edition of the show. We prefer to do emergency episodes that are fun and exciting and adding to the roster. We're not doing that today, but any final thoughts from you, sir, before we get out of here?
No, I feel bad for Chris. Like the dude had really found his form again, like Cy Young level, Hall of Fame level pitcher. And he just catches another freak injury. Like he's from every account, he's like an awesome dude. Like he's just like an A1 person. And like, I hate it for the team. Obviously we cover the team, but like, I probably actually hate it more for the individual because I think he had a really good chance of winning his second Cy Young, like potentially locking in a Hall of Fame career. Like, he's kind of right on that edge, like right on the border of like, no doubt Hall of Famer, like one more injury. Yeah. Like I feel bad for Chris. It's just a crappy way to go out on a diving play in the ninth inning of a 5-0 game. Yeah. And for the team, it's going to be very, very watch over the next 24, 40 years. It's going to be very interesting to see how they respond to this.
Yeah. Yes, it will, man. Not what we wanted on Saturday, but we'll see if the Braves can maybe overcome this, keep their heads above water and then add something. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, but the climb up the mountain has become even steeper. Like somebody just dropped like another 25-pound weight into their backpacks, and now they're trying to navigate a snowy mountain with, I mean, just another thing they frankly, this team could not afford to have happen with an injury to maybe one of the best pitchers, not maybe, one of the best pitchers in the game. All right, Stephen, that's going to do it for us today. A big thank you to everybody for checking out this mini emergency episode of the show. As always, I think the plan is for Brad and I to do our usual Sunday night show. And then, of course, we have a important series with the Mets, even if it will not feature Chris Sale coming up this week. We will have plenty of shows with Stephen and with Sean and with Brad and myself. So again, everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Hopefully the Braves can win 2 games down in Miami and keep this thing rolling. We will see everybody next time.